Natural Hair channel, where I share my personal hair journey and tips, tricks, and product reviews to help you with your own. So if that sounds interesting, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications. Okay, so for a while I have noticed a little trend. There are more videos on YouTube where people are talking and like sharing their experience while they do something, something that they sit for a while and do. And for me, I thought about it and I was like, I would like to do this kind of video, but I don't apply deep conditioner long enough to actually have a video with me applying deep conditioner. And I apologize, there's going to be vacuuming and stuff in the background because my husband has headphones on and it's Saturday morning and he gonna clean. He's obsessive about stuff. But anyway, so I hope that that does not make me have to throw this video away because that would be very sad. But anyway, and then people do their makeup while they do the videos, and I'm like, I don't do my makeup long enough to sit and do a video. And so there's like, all these other things. But the only thing that I thought about, what do I do in my routine on a weekly basis that I could sit and actually film a video while doing? Detangling. I actually do sit and detangle long enough to actually film a video where I'm talking about something. That is something that I actually do long enough. So, so what I'm gonna do is, I actually had asked some people on my community tab, and I got a couple of responses, and I said, what is something that you would like to hear me talk about in this video? And one response, I was like, okay, so you really going for the juggler. You really trying to come out swinging with this suggestion. But the person wanted me to talk about a struggle that I've overcome. And I was like, oh, okay. So we going deep. Okay. I see what it is. So this particular thing, there have been plenty of things I've had to overcome, actually. I think as that's common with anybody, right? I do have a whole video on this huge college bullying situation that I had to overcome, because that was really, really bad. So if you like this video and you want to know more and you're like maybe nosy, definitely go check that one out. It's an old video on my channel. Just like look up college bullying on my channel page and it should pull up, because I don't make videos about that topic typically. But this next situation that I'm going to talk about is actually my first year of teaching. My first year of teaching was awful. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I can relate. Yeah, teaching is difficult. Before you even go there, no. This is not normal. This is not anything that I would expect anyone to go through. If you are experiencing this, you need to get the union involved or get legal action, which I didn't do until way too late. So, yeah, my first year teaching was awful, but not in the normal way that first year teaching can be awful. I don't even know where to start, y'all. So I'll give you a little brief overview of the stuff that was stacked against me when it came to this situation. So I moved to Delaware immediately after graduating from college because my husband was in the military. Delaware is a small state. It is difficult to get a job in Delaware. No one would give me an interview. And so I became a substitute teacher. And I became a very popular substitute teacher, particularly at one school. I was getting calls all the time from this particular school. Teachers would request me. And then I eventually got a maternity leave substitute job. And those are the good ones, because you're guaranteed to have a job every single day and you can come in and get that coin. Because in Delaware, if you have a teaching degree, you make what the teacher would make for the day as a sub. So I was making a teacher salary without having my own classroom. And then finally, the next school year, I was getting ready to get on the sub list for another school district. And they called me at the school that I subbed a lot at. And they were like, we have a job for you. Come in and interview, and so on and so forth. Now, let me tell you, already the odds were against me because the school year had already started. So I was coming into a classroom without going to like the teacher pre-planning and all these things. And any teacher will tell you it is difficult to start the school year in the middle. The teacher that I was replacing had already got a job somewhere else, and I don't know why they waited so long to hire somebody. Um, and she claims that she wanted to move closer to her family, like where her family lived and her husband worked and all this kind of stuff. I'm not so sure after what I'm about to tell y'all. So also of note was when I went to do this interview, the principal had changed. It used to be a man, and then this lady assistant principal. It was the same assistant principal, but it was this lady that was the principal. So that's of note. But anyway, after I got the job, they were like, you want to come and see your classroom? And I'm geeked, like, yes. So I go, I check out my classroom, and I look at the faces in the room. Y'all, I recognize about half the children sitting in that room. And the reason why I recognize them is because there was a man that taught third grade, because this is a fourth grade classroom, a man from third grade last year. He had an extremely difficult class, and about half of his kids were sitting in this classroom. I was like, oh God, oh my goodness. And then unbeknownst to me at the moment, there was a lady that used to work at the school and no longer worked there anymore, and her class was extremely difficult the previous year, and the other half of the kids were from her class. So as we say in education, this class was stacked from day one. I don't think even the most experienced of teacher would have been able to come up in this classroom and like perfectly manage these kids. I just don't see it, honey. So that's why I suspect that this lady knew that these kids were in her class and she ain't want to do it. She ain't want to do it because she knew. That's my hypothesis. That might not even be true. But honey, I saw the faces in there and I knew. Okay? So I'll tell you some of the behaviors that would go on in this classroom. It was not uncommon to hear shouting, yelling, crying. Because I had a student that had some kind of emotional thing where she would just cry very loudly, or she'd go in my bathroom so the other kids couldn't use the bathroom because she was in there crying. I had kids who would, did I say flip desk? I had desk flipping. I had one kid dismantle my wooden mailbox and throw the wooden pieces across the room. Like there were times where we would have to leave and just be outside in a perfect line looking through the glass at him, waiting for someone to come with assistance to come and remove him. Kids that would get upset, like I had the little clip chart like everybody had, but the clip chart punishment would just discourage them and they would be misbehaving because these kids would clip down before like the first few subjects, before the first few hours, and they would be extremely upset. And it would just make the rest of the day terrible. So I think that these children had a lot of social, emotional things that needed to be worked out. And then also they were just so used to being the bad kid in the class that they were like, well, shoot, forget about it. I also had some kids in there that I loved so much. And even some of them were terrible outside of my classroom. They wouldn't be bad in front of me, but they would get in so much trouble. I had to go to tons of bullying meetings and everything because there's a legal process you have to go through when bullying is involved. And like one of the biggest bullies of all, I loved her though. Like like they were like, how sometimes you punish a kid by putting their desk by the teacher. Honey, that's not a punishment for her. She would love to come sit by me. And I actually liked her low key. I didn't want to make it seem like I liked her, but I did. Like I loved that kid. There were some babies in there that, on a regular basis we would laugh and joke or whatever. So we had a little bit of a community going on in there. But they would get in trouble outside of my classroom and make it look like I didn't know what I was doing, which I really didn't. I was a first-year teacher. What first-year teacher has awesome classroom management, right? But where it went bad, so I got all these things going against me. The classroom is stacked. But here's where it went south. It started early on. Oh, wait. One more thing that was against me. Delaware had adopted Common Core. This district did not really have any curriculum. They created something and put it in a binder and gave it to us. So the reading curriculum, as a first-year teacher, I don't have a strong sense of exactly how to set an effective reading program up. Like I know reading strategies and good best practices and all the scientific classroom stuff that you know about reading, but I didn't know how to set up a reading block, like the practicality of setting up a reading block and that kind of stuff. And so they had this really awful curriculum, and math was from some website. They were trying to get the kids to do thinking math, but it was over their heads. It was way over their heads to where they couldn't get it. So the curriculum was stacked against me as well, as a first-year teacher, because it definitely was not something that someone could open and teach from with no experience. So anyway, moving along, where it went south was the first time they came through in my room for a walkthrough at the beginning of the year. And at first, the assistant principal was like, "Oh, well, you kind of let some of them talk, and then some of them didn't. So it wasn't clear if who were you allowed to talk and not with the hand raising, and blah 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 blah." And I said, "Oh, okay, okay." And I thought that was fair. Well, the walkthroughs and the evaluations became more and more frequent to the point where they were in my room almost daily. And they became more and more negative to the point where they even contained, I'm gonna say it, lies. Lies. So it was something like one time she came in and we were getting ready to go. It was part of a transition. I was like, yes, we are leaving the room. Ha ha! You ain't gonna get me today. We leave. I go back on my computer. It said something like, when I came in the room, Mrs. Vargas's kids went to go somewhere, and Miss Vargas put them in a line, and she never looked back. Lies. Because every single time, hold on, I gotta pick some up. Every single time I left the classroom, I would stand at the corner, watch the kids going this way, watch the kids going that way, and then resume the line. And that's exactly what I did, and I know I did that because it was habit. I did it all the time. So it was a lie. Straight up boldface. Like, I'm like, how desperate are you? And the other, I mean, I can't even think of other ones. They would say stuff like, Miss Vargas is unaware of blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, I was totally aware of that. Like, what is she talking about? I was unaware. So my evaluation began to be riddled with exaggerations, lies, all this kind of stuff, right? So, and then the children in Delaware take something on the computer called DCAS. Starting from 3rd grade, they take it several times throughout the year, and then the results of DCAS are factored into the annual yearly progress of the school. And so I guess my kids didn't perform on DCAS, so I told you all that issues going on in my room. How can anyone learn anyway? And the curriculum, stinky. How can anyone learn, right? So they were like, you didn't meet, you're not going to make AYP, and that's scary. That's what the words were. This is scary. So I wasn't making progress academically. So then what they decided to do was to put me on an improvement plan. Okay? People who know me as an educator today are probably like, this story, wow, boy, you talking about you? I'm talking about me, girl. And the reason why I'm able to flippantly talk about this is, one, it's keeping me from crying. I used to cry about this. Two, I know that it's not true now that I've been teaching in the game and I got evaluations and awards and everything I've been winning and stuff. I know that this does not define me as an educator, but then I thought it did. So they put me on this improvement plan, okay? And for those of you not familiar, these are plans where you have to do things to improve. And if you don't improve, well, it depends on where you are, what happens if you don't improve. So I'll just leave that out. But anyway, they now have to do extra things. So then at this point, a part of my plan, I had to meet with this teacher. These are teachers that are usually specialists that help and that kind of stuff. I had to meet with her several times a week, and I had to get that signed off on. I had to meet with the administration several times a week, and I had to get that signed off on. And then I had to write these crazy lesson plans, y'all. Lesson plans that no one could ever teach from. My lesson plans would be like 10 pages long. And I had to include like engagement strategies, because one of the things they got me for was engagement, which is really funny. If you know me as a teacher, I'm extremely engaging. That's like my strength. Kids love to come to my class. I'm most people's favorite teacher. My evaluations are usually pretty good as far as classroom management and engagement. Like, those are high marks. But yeah, at this time my improvement plan was for that. And so I also had to write a paper about why popcorn reading is ineffective and round robin reading is ineffective, and that the teacher should read to model good reading. Yes, a whole paper, y'all, which is funny because when I got another job, I wouldn't let the kids read because of this. And the kids stopped me one day and they were like, Mrs. Vargas, usually the teacher lets us read. Can we read? Can we actually read? I said, okay, well, we'll do a 2-day. Day 1 I read, day 2 you read. Because I was afraid that someone was going to come in and I feel like I have hair. I was afraid that someone was going to come in and like bust me like in this situation. So also, as a part of the plan, the teacher that was on assignment, she had her own personal agenda trying to push the leader in me at the school. So she basically changed my entire classroom, like decorated it and change all the rules and change, like, we had like morning meetings and stuff like that, all types of stuff, because she was trying to push the leader in me and use my classroom as the model for it. She did get that because I looked up the school not too long ago, and they do have a whole leader in me program and stuff going on. And so some of the children I had, like I said, I had a lot of social emotional behaviors in my class, and one girl did not take the changes very well at all. She was very upset, and the parents were so concerned they emailed up to the school. Speaking of parents, I had a lot of parents had their child removed from my class. Like almost every week I was getting a kid removed from my class. So my class was like more and more behavior problems and whatever, because they kept removing the kids from my class because parents were requesting their child be removed. Which I get it. You know, you got someone flipping desk in the class. Why do you want your kid in there with someone who's doing stuff like that, right? So, so y'all, it got to the point where in the end of the year, the improvement plan was marked as unsatisfactory. After all that I went through, this is the part where I'm getting a little weak and weepy. After all the torture, after everything I had been through, after administration lied on me, came through my room constantly, kids being removed from my class, a lot of social emotional behavior issues in the room. I used to even get, every Friday I would get summons to the principal's office in my mailbox. So for years after that, I couldn't even check my teacher mail because it caused me anxiety. I would get summons and emails to meetings. Again, I couldn't check my email for a good year after that as well, because I was like, oh God, what's going to be in my email? Or became obsessive email checking at home because I was concerned with what was going to be in my email. Y'all, it took me a while to get over all of this stuff. So, so after all of this, the plan was marked unsuccessful. Okay, unsuccessful. And at the end of the year, in addition to the plan being marked unsuccessful, my evaluation was horrible. Horrible. Okay. And let me tell you, in the state of Delaware, you get a provisional teacher license, I think what it's called. And so you have to get a good evaluation in order to get your official teaching license. So right now, in the state of Delaware as it stands, which I let my license expire, it's been years, but I would have had to, like, I don't know what I would have had to do to try to get my professional teaching license because it was in jeopardy of me not getting a license at this point. So right now, if I were to go back to the state of Delaware, girl, I have to put in work to be able to even get an official license, because, you know, as soon as they put in my social security or whatever, they would know I'm the same teacher. I also have a professional letter of reprimand on my file. I said a bad word. And so because of that, I have a letter on my file in the state of Delaware. Y'all, you would cuss too. I promise you. You would cuss too, honey. So, and it wasn't even like an expletive tirade. It was literally a mistake. But I got a letter on my file. And yeah. And then and then of course there's an improvement plan waiting on me in that state as well, because it was unsatisfactory. And the assistant principal had the nerve to say, well, because at this point I was moving to Florida. She was like, well, we have to see what we have to do with your evaluation, like if it carries over to the new state. I'm like, oh no, this plan is not following me to a new state. You, girl, you sick if you think I'm gonna let I do all this mess again, only for you to tell me it was unsatisfactory progress. After all these hoops I jumped through. Y'all, I'm not one of these hard-headed people. If you tell me something's wrong, I'm gonna try to fix it. And that's what I try. I tried all year long. And y'all, at the end of the year, when I won an award for perfect attendance, people were shocked that I came to school every day. That's how bad it was. They were shocked I came to school every day. Because I didn't want to leave that crazy class with a sub. People didn't want to sub for me. Or the principal would get called an excessive amount of times if I was out. So of course I had perfect attendance. Right? So this whole situation, I told you I had issues checking my teacher mailbox, checking my email. I didn't want to do none of that. So I came to Florida, y'all, on a hope and a dream. When my husband got stationed in Panama City, I went out to my new job broken. I was not confident in my ability to do my job. Not confident. Now, of course, some of you probably didn't even know I was a teacher. Some of you probably don't even know, like, how am I now as a teacher, because all this was years ago. First of all, the district where I work now is performance based. So I am treated as having 1 year less than what I actually have as years of experience, because I think because of my bad evaluation in Delaware. But don't worry, the pay ain't that different between the years out here. Florida don't pay good to begin with, and this county especially don't pay good that I'm in right now. But my evaluations, they're great, especially in the area of engagement. Most kids love my class. Parents love me because they feel like I'm very organized and neat. I won an award last year for being extremely organized. I won an award actually a couple of weeks ago from the administrators for, and I quote, killing it in the classroom. The science coach last year, she used to come in the room and stuff like that. She thought I was a great teacher. There was someone who was coming in my room when I worked at another school 2 years ago. That was for like the behavior system they use district-wise, and she loved coming in there. She came up and like, if you ever need a reference, I will write you a reference. I just love it, blah, blah, blah. Like, y'all, so many compliments. Also, the curriculum map for the grade level and the subject that I teach for my school district, my name is on the top of it. Which is funny because part of my improvement plan was for designing coherent instruction, because apparently I can't design coherent instruction, which is, so it makes it really even more funny that my name is on the district curriculum map. And our curriculum maps are really popular from other school districts, so if you teach my subject and you see a Kayla on the top, it's me. It's me. Girl. So yeah, I basically can't go back to the state of Delaware because it's too much. My career back in Delaware is in shambles, honey. It is in shambles. And I thought all of that was true. I was on the internet trying to see what else I could do with my degree. Trying to see, you know, like, what can I go into? Am I even skilled enough to do anything else? Because clearly some people need it to be able to be a teacher, and I must not have it. Whatever it is, I just ain't got it. That's truly how I felt. I was extremely discouraged as a first year teacher. Extremely discouraged. I was broken, y'all. That thing broke me down to a whole nother person. I done been through a lot. I'm almost certain, and I probably do need therapy. Truly. I've been meaning to get around to it, but therapy is expensive, and then you just don't know all the channels. If y'all know ways to get therapy that's not as expensive, I probably need it. I probably got some type of, like, I don't want to say PTSD, because I don't want to throw that around lightly. Especially being married to someone who's in the military. I don't want to throw it around, and I feel like people be having PTSD because, like, you know, like somebody died in front of them, or, you know, stuff like that. But I think we can honestly say that I've been through it. Girl, I've been through it. And it's so funny that I magically became such a great shooter. I think the reason why I am so organized and stuff is because those people it was a violation of the contract until they got caught. But they was requiring me to turn in my lesson plans, them little things. I had to turn my lesson plans in on Friday for the next week. Completely done. With all that extra crap that I had to write in there. And now, to this day, girl, my lesson plans be done by Tuesday. Copies ordered by Wednesday, because we have to order our copies. They don't want you making copies at the school. You can, but they do everything they can to discourage it, making you type in long codes and have your own paper and stuff, because they don't want you to make copies at the actual schools. So, yeah, girl, I make a PowerPoint. That be done. I add my little Bitmojis into my PowerPoint. Yes, there's a new Bitmoji, Kayla, on the PowerPoint every day. doing something different. The kids grow to expect it. Everything's extremely tied to the standard. And I'm very laser focused in how I deliver my instruction, to the point where our school did equal to the district, or better than a district, on a lot of our little tests that the kids take throughout the year. We do that instead of like book test, chapter test. It's a district test, and they have eight of them they take throughout the year, and it's literally about. I put this brush on top of the hair, so now it's called. But it's literally about whatever I was just teaching at that moment. So it's definitely a difficult test, but it's doable. And I'm so laser focused with the instruction on that our kids do very well. Our kids do very well on these assessments. That's funny for somebody who can't design coherent instruction and who scarily doesn't help meet AYP. Like, girl. And then y'all messing up my performance-based pay with the bad evaluations. I can't stand performance-based pay, because then you got situations where you got workplace bullies, because that's straight up what she was. You got workplace bullies, and then that's messing with your pay, messing with your ability to get a professional license. Shoot. Now, can I say that sometimes I do think of doing something else other than being a teacher? Absolutely. I think every teacher does. But I would be dumb to ignore the impact that I've made on my students, the impact that I've made on families, and the fact that my administration feels confident to be like, okay, Kayla got it. She got it. Go ahead. You know, they feel confident that I can do my job. And even like now, this year, I have a very difficult class for one of my periods, but you know what? I somewhat managed them, because I've been through it. Anything that they do ain't nearly as bad as what I had to deal with in my first year teaching. Y'all, I'm talking so many tears shed. Getting in my car crying all the way home. Child. I'm sure my mama was stressed out because her baby was going through it states away. It may not be clear in my videos, y'all, but I'm from Georgia. Born and raised. Born to 2 Alabama parents. Mama and daddy. I don't have a strong accent. If you're from the north, you probably do hear my accent for sure. My non-southern people always can pinpoint. They know. I was in New York, and this lady at the breakfast spot was like, "Oh, I love your accent." Them people who not from the south can hear it. And I do bring out more of my accent on my channel because I'm being more social with you. But I do speak in a more generic, I speak more generically. Now see, I almost put this brush down in the hair again. So, yeah. But you know what, guys? I didn't even tell you. I'm using Mixed Chicks conditioner. It's sitting over here as an extra, but I haven't needed to apply more product. And then I have a spray bottle of water sitting over here extra as well, because I usually add water. But I tried to do this little thing. I added water in the shower before I got out, feeling like it would help me to be able to get out and film this video. To have my hair already detangled, you know, I mean already filled with water, to get it to the right detangling consistency. And so far, people be obsessed with how much hair folks lose, and I've lost this much hair, which is not a lot, considering the fact that I have medium length hair, so my shed hair is going to be a little longer than someone who has like a TWA. And then I had my hair in a bun for like a week, and yeah, so that's my whole head. And a little hair came out when I was shampooing too, because I do a rough little smoothing and detangling of my hair when I shampoo. So a little bit of hair came out there, but my goal is to get all the shed hairs out and stuff like that. So this one might need a little water actually, so. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to my awful sad story. I know that I rambled around a bit, so it wasn't like the most clear that it could be, because if I sat here and told you play for play everything that happened and everything I did and like how stressed out I was, I think it would be a much longer video. I think there would be me crying much more. So if I keep it surface just enough so you can get a picture of just how bad it was, and how ridiculous it was that they were making this paper trail behind me when they really didn't have to. Because if you're hired after the year in that district where I worked, you're automatically not renewed anyway, and you have to apply for the job. So getting a paper trail behind me to fire me really, like, that's stupid. You didn't have to do that. But anyway, I hope I made it clear about like just how bad this was and like how stressed out it had me. And I guess the whole thing, the theme of the video was like a challenge you overcame. I don't know if I overcame it. I just moved away somewhere else. And there's children walking by. Every time there's children walking by, I'm like, please don't be some children I know. But I wouldn't say I overcame it. I just moved away. Had a little bit of my little freak out moments, like not wanting to check my email and not wanting to check my teacher box for fear of letters from the principal and not trusting administration, until eventually I realized, oh, it's safe. You know? So I don't know if we can say that I overcame it. I just moved and eventually realized that the world is not out to attack me, and that, you know, I might be an okay educator. I might be alright. And if anything out of this, I learned how to be a better teacher, more organized, swift, prevent issues with parents. I also learned how to sell myself, y'all. I went from not even getting an interview to now, girl, they on my phone. Whenever I have to try to get a job, girl, they be calling me. And I got to tell them, hey, I already got a job. I'm straight. My district also loves Twitter. A lot of people like the superintendent, the people over the science department, principals at other schools. Those people be following my Twitter, girl, regularly, liking my tweets, reposting them. Girl, let me go back to Delaware. Let me catch a girl at a professional event or something. I'm gonna shake her hand and be like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. I did Google him. She's still the principal at the school. The assistant principal went somewhere else. The lady who was the little coach that was doing a leader in me and, you know, changing up my classroom so much it hurt, that had that one kid stressed out. I think she became the assistant principal. The office lady still works there, because we were cool. A lot of the teaching staff is different. The girl that was supposed to replace me went on to pursue her love of agriculture. Girl, you quit because she was bothering you too, and you didn't want to be bullied another year. That's what you did. Anyway, so yeah, that's what happened with them, and y'all know what's happened with me. So should we ever cross paths again, girl, maybe them prayers worked. The PE coach so bad she had her prayer group praying for me. So maybe they prayers worked. You got a group of people that don't know you praying for you, sis. That's how bad it was, y'all. That's how bad it was. Anyway, thank you for watching my detangling talk. They ain't all gonna be like this. Somebody wanted to hear me talk about why I'm vegan or whatever. I might do a vegan video, even though I don't be wanting to make the vegan videos. But I suppose I'll make a vegan video. Shout out to you if you actually watched this video, sis. I love it. I feel your support through the screen. Hit a like. Comment if you had some sort of, like, you know, lasting effects from some on-job trauma like what I had. They had you stressed out. And I said stress with a K, okay?